This summer, it'll be 50 years since Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and our fascination with the secrets of the night sky remains undimmed. With all the light pollution here, though, the capital's not the best place for stargazing. But with the right gear and a little bit of luck, you can still see some amazing things. I headed off to the highest geographical point in London to find out more. These wonderful images of the moon and distant galaxies are not what you'd normally expect to see in the London sky. Because to see them like this, you need a really good telescope and real darkness. And our city is virtually always brightly lit. Here at the top of Hampstead Heath, it gets pretty murky though. Now this is home to the Hampstead Scientific Society, and their tiny observatory houses a huge telescope, which I'm told, if the clouds clear, will give me some great views of some of our distant planets, including Mars. Hello, you must be Simon.
Hello, Sean. Do come in. Welcome to the Hampstead Observatory.
And this is the telescope?
It is indeed.
Wow, how long has it been here for?
It's been here since 1910. It's been so successful, it's lasted down the years, including going through both wars.
This is a lovely part of London, but why did they choose this spot?
Well, it's because we're actually at quite a high elevation. We're actually, for the ground level, we're at the highest point in London at 440 feet. So where you're standing is actually the highest position in London. The entire telescope moves around. It's got a gearbox and it moves in the up and down motion. And as you can see, in the dome here, we have this shutter. And so wherever you're pointing the telescope, we first of all have to rotate the dome, which is done with this rope over here.
So the roof spins around. As darkness fell, Simon told me something that staggered me and illustrated perfectly the power of his telescope.
We can, on a good, clear, crisp night, see the Andromeda galaxy quite easily. And you can see that as a lovely little sort of oval fuzz. It sort of looks a bit like a cigar-shaped lozenge in the telescope. But even then, it is incredibly dim. But when you think that you're looking 2.25 million light years away. In other words, the light going into your eye left there 2.25 million years ago, before Homo sapiens were actually on this planet.
So you're seeing an old version of that galaxy?
Very much so, yes. You're seeing it as it was 2.25 million years ago. So if there was a race of people there then, there's a very good chance that even if we were by some miracle to be able to meet them, we still wouldn't be able to, because they would have come and gone in 2.25 million years.
Simon, you're blowing my mind. it is quite hard to get your head around.
It certainly is.
And we can see it all through this old thing that's been around for 100 years. So far, it wasn't a good night for planet spotting because we weren't having a lot of luck with cloud cover. But even with a clear sky, a modern, well-lit city like London makes stargazing difficult. I can't see a lot, I'm afraid.
No, I'm afraid all you'll probably see is a somewhat orange glow, and all you're essentially doing is magnifying London light pollution.
Oh, tell me about light pollution. Is it a real problem for you guys?
I'm afraid to say it's a terrible problem, and it's getting worse. In the old days, we used to have sodium lamps, and so if you put a filter onto the telescope that took out sodium, you could actually see quite a lot of stuff. But now we're going over to the low-voltage LED lights. They're multi-spectrum, and you can't get rid of that.
So it really affects what you're able to see?
I'm afraid to say it does make an enormous difference. It restricts what we can look at. We can only tend to look at the planets, the moon, and the brightest of star clusters. In London, it's bad, but I mean, if you go to places like New York or indeed Japan, the street lighting there is so intense now, you're lucky if you can see stars at all. Wow. It's that bad. The sky is glowing so much that even the brightest stars can't cut through the light pollution.
But even with the capital's bright lights causing problems, members of the Hampstead Scientific Society have seen and photographed some wonderful skies at night here.
So I've seen the brightest objects that is possible to see in London due to light pollution. So I've seen the moon, I've seen Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, and even a bit of Venus as well.
For me, this place was just a fantastic outlet to start exploring the possibilities of other worlds. You know, looking through a telescope, it's a bit like a window, looking into something that we would never get the chance to see otherwise with our own eyes.
There was Halley's Comet back in '86 when we had about 600 people coming up here in about 3 hours. And I spent the evening pinned to the actual telescope mount.
Was on the 19th of November 2005. We were looking at Mars, just past opposition at the time, and they were putting on more and more and more power until we're up to about 300. Absolutely marvellous. Pin shot, absolutely pin shot. The detail you could see on it because the air was so steady.
Our expert star spotters know exactly where to look and at what time, and one of them informed us that the International Space Station was due to pass over London. Lo and behold, it appeared through the clouds, and our eagle-eyed cameraman spotted it. But then it got even better. Simon knew that the tiny dot in the sky glowing the brightest was none other than Mars. So right now on Mars, there's a little robot, a little rover, digging around, getting dust and sending the results back to...
That's right, it's drilling down to about 5 metres into Mars' surface, and it's all about working out exactly what the composition is up there.
Might spot a little robot on your telescope.
Oh, I would love to be able to do that, but unfortunately our telescope's not quite powerful enough to do that.
Can you show me?
Well, you can go up to 300 times magnification. Let's go and have a go.
Wow, it's the first time I've seen Mars in this detail, if I can get to see it. Oh, it's like a sort of a very small disc in this viewfinder, isn't it? It's
yes, it's quite small.
It's a bit more orange than I thought. It's really orange, actually, isn't it? There's an orange hue to it.
Well, it is. Yes, it's a rusty planet, so.
I was expecting red, but it's
No, it's much more orange than red. It is called the Red Planet.
Sadly, it would be impossible for our camera to focus on what I could see through this wonderful old telescope, but I was hoping something really exciting was about to happen. Simon had a camera that he could attach to the telescope, and with the right weather conditions, he reckoned he could film exactly what my eye could see. His camera did okay. Atmospheric conditions meant Mars didn't look at its best though, but he captured a great image of the Andromeda galaxy, 2.25 million light years away. He saved the best till last though. His footage of the moon was staggering and included close-ups of the surface. You can even see the craters, and all from this tiny building on the top of Hampstead Heath. This place really is a great example of living history, working today, that can still teach us so much.